but also it applies to policyholders, you know, policymakers, government officials, they can attend. As Jennifer has introduced, my name is Patricia Obichuku, and I'm the MD and CEO of Best Produce International UK Limited. I have over 29 years experience in food industry in UK. Uh, Name it from fresh produce to process and any other market, importing and exporting. I have over 16 years in dealing with import and export, and then training in agricultural produce, and 9 years with collaboration with Global Gap, and IFS is about 2 years now. Well, by grace of God, we've been recognized for some of our contributions in UK, and some of the programs we have carried out, so we've received few awards. Today, I will be focusing on looking at stepwise approach that individuals need to understand when you are targeting UK and European market. For example, from experience, most of our people don't have patience to really plan well. When we do training, we look at what we call 5 Ps, but today I'm not dealing with the 5 Ps. But today I'm looking at how do you gather your market intelligence. It's important you understand the markets you are targeting and understand what is needed in that market, how the market behave, because the consumers in that market may have different tastes and behavior and culture from where you are coming from. So you need to gather all those market intelligence to enable you target well. You need to be able to understand that anytime you're targeting a sport market, it is like a football field where you have footballers and everybody is trying to score goal. So you are in a market that is very competitive market because other countries are also targeting the same market. So you need to make sure you have a cost-effective ways of managing your produce, and make sure that you do not do what we call shortcuts, because it will end up costing you more. You need to have understanding and knowledge of the issue of traceability. When years and years back, when I was importing from Nigeria, you normally go to the market and buy everything you want, but that is not the requirement here. You have to be able to trace back the product to the farm where it was produced, so that there is a mandatory regulation for Europe and UK when you want to send anything that is from farm to UK. It's called traceability rules. The reason why that traceability rules is to make sure that if there is any problem, they will be able to trace back where the problem came from. You need to understand the issue of food safety management system, because that is also mandatory in order to make sure that the food we eat are safe. Those are the key things why we have what is called certification process. I actually call it passport for export. If you are trying to export, just like if you are trying to come to UK, you need a passport. There is also produce passport, and that goes through certification process. In UK, there are certification process such as BSc, Red Tractors, and others. And for Europe, the common certification process, which is a global process, is Global Gap for fresh produce. It starts from farm. It's not just start from harvest. It starts from farm input. It starts from the type of land you are using, to go to the every input you will input in that farm. And then you go through the processing, that's the harvest and post-harvest management. So you have pre-harvest, harvest, and post-harvest management, and which includes logistics, your pack houses, and then before it comes to the retailer who will sell it to the people. The most important thing that why this certification is required is to make sure that the end user, which is the consumer, eats safe food, that the food that are being brought into the country are safe for them to eat. What is global gap? Global gap is known as private standard that is designed to assure consumers that the food they are eating are produced according to good agricultural practice. So that's why it was called global gap. It was initially Europe gap, but when it became known globally, then it became global gap standard, and it's for primary production. It is for integrated farm assurance, or it can be for what we call primary farm assurance. So we will look into that. The global gap have key points that they focus on. It's a form of a holistic approach to integrated farm assurance. It covers food safety. It looks at traceability, environmental issues, workers' health and safety, and animal welfare, among other things. But these are the key issues that are covered. It also have crop-based fruit and vegetable standards. You have livestock standard, you have aquaculture, you have certification process, and you also have other, if you're producing like animal feeds and things like that, there are standards for them. If you are the middleman, there is a standard for it, and there is also standard for crops that you're going to process into like juice or any other thing. There are standards for that. We have the major standard, which is is called the IFA, that's Integrated Farm Assurer, but we also have what is called Primary Farm Assurer Program, PFA, which is local gap. It means for those who are not yet ready to go for certification can start from there. I call it, is like you go from primary school to secondary school before you go to university. So it depends at what stage you are before you can go for certification, because don't forget, it is rules and regulations that you need to implement in your farm, in your production, before you can go ahead. It has, the certification process have different options. For option one, it is for individual large-scale farmers, which can be they are just farming their own farms. They have large-scale farm area they are farming, or they can have multiple sites. They can either have individual sites and multiple sites. And then we have option two, which is for groups. In many places, it is difficult for small-scale farmers to obtain certifications. So small-scale farmers are encouraged to work in groups like cooperatives. You can have more than 12,000 farmers working together to obtain certification. You can have 20,000. One of the countries in East Africa has over 20,000 groups that are under one certificate. So it depends on where you are and how you are. For option two, you need to have what is quality management system. And then option one, multiple sites, you can also decide to implement a quality management system, QMS, we call it. Option 3 is for benchmarking. For those countries who wants to, you know, sort of benchmark their own standard to global standard. That is called option 3. So it's the same as individual certification for that country, but option 4 is a similar thing for option 2, but it's a benchmark scheme. So some nations have got benchmarked, like you have China GAP, you have Kenya GAP, you have different countries that have gotten their own benchmark programs. These are some of the list of supermarkets, because Global GAP standard is top market and certification process. Many of these supermarkets request, when you want to supply to them, the first thing they ask you is whether you have Global GAP standard. But for some other, they have what is called add-on, like Tesco has add-on, which is called Nurture. So you have Global GAP, but you will have additional requirement they want you to meet. So these are some of the retailers that are in Global GAP certification process. The next one I explained was, I said to you, is called International Feature Standard. This is focusing on whether you are dealing with dry produce, whether you are dealing with personal products, whether you are personal healthcare product, whether you are dealing with tinned products, any processed product, you know, that is IFS for you. So we also have IFS for food. You have for cash and carry, then wholesalers who wants to their industry to be recognized, or manufacturers. You have global market food for those who are coming up. Is in form of the local GAP I've explained for Global GAP. This is again for IFS. You have a global market food standard for those who are upcoming. And you have for packaging, there is standard for packaging. There is what is a lot of it is happening now, and many retailers are requesting that, is what is called food fraud and food defense. You know, you can have people who are either selling fake products or adulterated products. These are some of the key things that you are expected to understand what is happening in the markets you're coming in, and make sure that your products are protected, and that you have a food defense to make sure that the product you're giving is the correct product. It also covers, the IFS covers dry products, any ingredients, supplements, fruits and vegetables, grains, cereals, any industrial bakery and pastries, confectionaries, snacks products, and any personal hygiene products and packaging.
Just a time warning, giving you, you know, you just have a few minutes left. Thank you.
Yes. So as I said earlier, just rounding up, we approve licensed silver consultants for Global GAP and verification body for Global GAP, for local GAP, and we are the person pioneering it in Nigeria. We're also a benchmark committee member for Global GAP, and the registered training center for IFS. We run master classes. You can visit our website for that. We run a lot of master classes in any of those standards. We have an international trade summit for 2021 coming up, and we're hoping to leverage a number of the key stakeholders in Europe and UK. So it will be going live soon. So look out for it. It will be interesting program for you to attend, because we believe you will benefit a lot. We'll also be talking about finances in that summit. So I think that is it for me. Thank you very much. And if people have questions, I can take one or two questions. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mrs. Obichukwu. That was just amazing. And for those of you who have joined us a little bit late, you've missed a very fantastic presentation. But just to recap on some of the things that she spoke about, she dealt with the cost effectiveness if you're going into the export business, making sure that you study local knowledge and requirements, making sure that you engage in your due diligence, and making sure that you have traceability for your product. Went on to talk about the various certificates that you require and the different international standards that are expected. And she also made it very clear that she has an event for you to attend between the 25th and the 26th of August. And at that event, you will learn a lot more and probably be able to network beyond your wildest dreams. So thank you so much. That was amazing. In addition to all the wonderful things that she spoke about and being the CEO of her company, she's also on the agricultural committee at the Nigerian British Business Forum. So if you need to get through to her, you can contact her through that amazing organization. So now our next speaker is another phenomenal speaker, who is Mr. Yemi Shodikbo, the director of NTIC Global Exports. Mr. Yemi has also got a number of accolades under his belt. Over the last 15 years, he's assisted several organizations access larger customers and high-value clients, both nationally and internationally, by achieving international recognized quality standards. Yemi's business provides a consultancy support to clients and companies in the UK and deliver accredited training. These quality standards are done through partnerships in countries such as Nigeria, Bangladesh, and the UAE. He recently joined the NTIC to structure a process to deliver comprehensive export services for Nigerian manufacturers and service providers so that they gain secure access into the UK market consistently. Now, Mr. Shodikbo, if you're ready, we would like to have your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Brilliant. And can you see the presentation? Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Basaki, for introducing me. First, well, I'm impressed with the number of people that we've got, over 50, almost 50 people in here. The first thing I just want to say is tell you a little bit of a story of how I got involved in this. I had come over to the UK in 2004 to do a master's in food manufacturing technology, and my first task was I was put on a 3-year project to help a company that manufactures jam, just jam in North Wales. Because they've been manufacturing for about 40 years and they've had some success. They were selling to some of the specialist stores, Harrods, Fortnum and Mason. These are quite premium stores in the UK. But in the UK, we have this network of large supermarkets. That sometimes when they place an order from you, it's in multiples because they have to service over 100 stores at a time. And this company was trying to get their products onto shelf. It was Tesco at that time. Tesco had come to visit them, but they had a look at their factory. They had a look at their products, and there were significant deficiencies. And Tesco asked them to go and get those deficiencies fixed and get approved to an international standard, just like Mrs. Patricia had been talking about. Their own particular one was the BRC. And so that was when we came in, and with my skill set, then we helped to put in place a new factory, put in place their quality standard. And on completion of it, Tesco came back to visit. And on the day that they came back to visit, they placed an order. Their buyer placed an order. And as the buyer was leaving, the managing director said to me, said, Yemi, that's the largest single order we've had in 40 years of our history. And that was when I knew the power of first selling to these larger retailers, people who have capacity and access to get your products to more people, and the power of the international standards and doing your product and your processes right, because it just opens up a whole new world and market for you. Now, they've given me a bit of an introduction, so I wouldn't necessarily go to that again. But the way I'm just going to summarize what I'm going to say, it's not going to be too long. I'm hoping more that I'll get questions and we'll be able to give answers to that. Very importantly, I just recently came on the NTIC Global to help to structure the process to help Nigerian manufacturers and people who add value to their products to actually get their products into shops in the UK in volumes that justify something. I think one of the visions one of the key vision that drives that also involves the fact that we know that the economy is not at its best in Nigeria now. Manufacturers will do well to potentially earn their money in foreign currency, able to access larger markets, perhaps be able to sell it for a more premium price, and more importantly, expand into this market that is quite open and actually welcoming to us. I don't know whether any of us have been following in some detail the Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson. His own opinion is that he genuinely wants to do business with Commonwealth countries, of which Nigeria is one. And so the opportunity is there. Our job is to try and structure all those opportunities. So there's some aspirational things to the things that I'm talking about today, but we will take it on as we go. So I'll just summarize it in these four things. The case for Nigerian export into UK, the questions we seek to answer, the viable positioning options for products that come from Nigeria, and a bit of the task ahead. And so the case for Nigerian exports to the UK. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this usually reflects on some of the many problems that bedevils us in Nigeria, and everybody knows them. So we hope to be more of solutions, but some very key data that you need to know either as entrepreneurs or as people who are exporters or hoping to increase your export. Nigeria is the 48th largest import market into the UK. That means the products that are coming from Nigeria. 48. Nigeria is the largest economy in the world. 48 is not a very great number. Significant potential to increase that. The total amount Nigeria trades with traded with the UK last year, just 1.3 billion pounds. That's not a lot of money when you begin to look at the level of government expenditure and things that happen. And so there is a lot of potential and scope for significant growth. Of course, we know that COVID affected that, but when you look at the 2019 figures, you will discover that it's not even in the multiple billions. And therefore, that scope exists. The interesting thing is that we have information that this is provided by the UK office, that the top 5 exports that Nigeria actually sends into the UK, and you want to listen to this: crude oil, okay, which is our main thing, refined oil, gas, metal ores. For some reason, they said we sent out aircraft that was worth about 7.9 million. I assume that was just one aircraft that somebody sold secondhand or something like that. But having said that, when you look at all these things, you can see that crude oil, okay, we have one refined oil, gas, that's another crude natural resources, metal ores, products, these are non-value added things. The Western world, they don't have too much of resources, but the ones they have, they keep it in the ground because human resources is the most important thing. And whatever little thing they do, they add value to it. We are selling much of our stuff crude. And a bit of what our focus will be in NTIC is to actually look at value added products. And that means that you've done something just that little bit more. It could be produce. You can have produce, for example, you get ginger or something like that you want to export. It's possible for you to get that ginger diced and individually quick frozen. That opens up a whole new market, increases the shelf life of that. That's something that you have added value to. And therefore, I think the focus, if we haven't thought about it, should be on added value products. Because when you now compare to the top exports UK sends to Nigeria, refined oil, not crude, textile, value added, toilet and cleansing preparations. I see no reason why we should be exporting toilet and cleansing preparations from the UK. Mechanical power generators. I know we consume a lot of generator, but maybe it's about time we start producing it too. And we can see that difference, we need to start focusing on value added products. And the Nigeria is listed in the list of countries. There are only just about 100 and something countries that are involved in that list, in 131st. Which is a pretty low score. And the United States the United States Trade Body lists about 8 particular things that are challenges to working in Nigeria. High cost of doing business in Nigeria, duplication of essential infrastructure. That is, you have to get your own electricity source. Threat of crime, need for security countermeasures, corruption, lack of effective judicial process, non-transparent economic decision-making, clearance of goods at ports can be slow, cumbersome, and highly bureaucratic. And this is how the world sees us. This is how the customer sees us, the United States and the UK. And therefore, whatever we want to do, we need to be able to address all those issues in our own individual activities to be able to cross over into what can be a much larger market, and of course, that pays us more value per unit. So at NTIC, what are the questions that we seek to answer? They've listed some of these things are the issues that are bedeviling exporters and small manufacturers in Nigeria from getting their products out. First, getting reliable buyers for international deals. Now, what we can do is that NTIC might be able to bridge that gap and be able to source the buyers actually from this side of the pond. Product quality, to be able to support manufacturers and producers to improve the quality of and the first thing about quality is legality. There are so many legal requirements that our products fall short of. And Nigeria now needs to start producing for the market that is going to sell to, rather than based on the realities around it. So product quality, and that also includes the quality of the manufacturing facilities that you're kind of dealing with, a few of the things that Patricia talked about. And then challenges to finding finances, for export contracts. Is it possible that the NTIC can be in a position to bridge that finance issues for the manufacturers in the UK? Transportation systems and logistics within Nigeria are a challenge. Can NTIC be positioned to help to get products, not just from Lagos, from Kano, from Benue, and to be able to get them along the entire supply chain all the way to UK with ready buyers? Documentation and licenses. This is really one of the things that stop a lot of people from exporting, because apparently there are quite some rules. People want to get through the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. There's a lot of log jams within that. Can NTIC stand in the place and be able to represent the interests in there for a body of people, of manufacturers, and export processes with freight forwarding companies, and of course, meeting with the buyers and suppliers in here. Now, the important thing to say is that selling to the UK is not something that just happens over a couple of days or a couple of weeks. You have to be devoted and committed to it for the long term, and it takes a while for it to get started. But once it gets started, it is very sustainable and a great source of income, especially if you're earning the money in foreign currency, and saves you from the inflation that is happening in Nigeria. And therefore, I just want to use this to give you a little bit of a picture of what are the options of where, what are the options of where and how your product will be placed within the UK. And I've arranged them in a little bit in an order of complexity. So for example, the supermarkets will take food varieties, groceries, laundry, a lot of products that are canned, manufactured products that have been added value to significantly. And the popular names you hear is Asda and Tesco and all of that. And these people have perhaps the highest and most stringent requirements for you to actually get in. And that's when you begin to see the kind of things that Patricia was talking about. But you also have discount stores like Aldi and Lidl, who also have pretty much similar requirements to Asda and Tesco, but perhaps they don't have as much variety as Asda and Tesco, and perhaps maybe they might not be as challenging as Asda and Tesco, but I mean they're equally also challenging. So they would take footwear, food varieties, canned products, cheap, usable, manufactured household materials. Very importantly, the manufacturers. And I think this is when we need to think, especially when people are doing produce and agriculture-based things, to supply raw materials and intermediate products to manufacturers by actually having first, adding a little bit of value, maybe they're frozen products or things like that that they will use within the manufacturing process. In some ways, supplying to the manufacturers can be a bit easier than supplying to the supermarkets because you're dealing with just one individual company at a time. And usually by the time you meet the quality requirements of that company, potentially they're in a position to receive from you. Now, in terms of ease, we have these shops that we call the Afro-Caribbean and Asian stores. And these are stores that supply generally to our people, to Black people, to the Caribbean community and things like that. And there are a network of them in all the big cities all around in the UK. Perhaps that could be a starting point for the product to get in, for you to test the market, for you to understand the market. And there are some products that will never make their way straight to the supermarkets and discount stores, probably because of some quality challenges. Sometimes it's not even quality challenges, it's just the sheer supply capacity. If Tesco takes on a product now, they want you to supply 1,000 stores. Do you genuinely have the capacity to do that? But the Afro-Caribbean stores, it's a way in, and perhaps product packaging and all of that you might be able to get away with some that are not like at the top notch of things. And finally, of course, e-commerce. The internet breaks it all down for us. People can be able to sell products directly via the internet, usually to consumers directly rather than business to business. Now, business to business sales, which is all what we've talked about, is really where the bulk and the volume and big orders actually lie. But of course, the individual sales opportunity also exists as long as people can see your website, any part of the world, or via eBay and Amazon. They will also potentially make a purchase without significant challenges.
Mr. Shodipo, a quick time notice.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. And I'm on my last slide now. And so what's our task? Within NTIC, we're looking to take away the barriers to export. Is it possible that we can stand in the gap and people don't need individual export licensing if NTIC has an export license and actually makes direct purchases from manufacturers, take care of logistics, take care of Forex challenges, get it all across up until here, store it here and store it back in Nigeria, and also get it to the marketplace. We can source buyers within the UK for selected products, attend the trade shows, and NTIC already gets involved in some of the MBBF trade shows that happen in Nigeria, support manufacturer standardization, full end-to-end supply chain. We can help to guarantee the market and sales to other potential, to the manufacturers from Nigeria. And of course, to provide long-term consistent support to manufacturers. We're not interested for people who want to just make a quick buck. We're interested in people who want a sustainable chain that consistently helps to increase GDP within Nigeria. And of course, we also have a network of supply chain related service providers, the buyers, the people that deal with the big supermarkets, the people that help with quality assurance, other supply chain related services to be able to provide that for you. Now, some of these things are in development, and we're in a position to help a few. At the moment, ultimately, we might be in a process where we actually have to choose winners at the early stage. And therefore, if you need to contact us, this is an email address, info@nticglobal.com, and we will be able to have an initial chat with you and get you started on a process that might not be like happen in days and weeks, but that guarantees you long-term success. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that was useful.
Thank you very much for that very informative session. For those of you who were late to the program, please do make sure your microphones are on mute when you join. Also, can you please note that if you have questions, they can be emailed in. You might be able to place them in the chat. The email address for you to send them to is info@nbbf.com. We've also placed that in the chat for you there. We will endeavour to take questions at the end. So do take notes of what the speakers are saying, should in case you get your opportunity at the end. But for any unanswered questions, you'll be able to email them in. Mr. Shodikpo, once again, thank you. What can be seen is the NTIC is an organization that's trying to raise the standard of Nigerian exports. You're there to offer people advice on infrastructure, outlining the fact that they need to add value to their products to give them the edge, and the fact that you can offer a range of different levels of assistance to them in collaborating, making sure that they have particular buyers for their product, and helping them penetrate the UK market and giving them an understanding of local knowledge and where to pitch themselves. So this is amazing, and I hope people take advantage of your organization. Next in line for who we have to speak for you is a wonderful gentleman, actually, who has extensive years of knowledge within the export business. His name is Mr. Rotimi Olawale William Oyewole. Now, he's also the chairman of the Nigerian British Forum Export Committee. Mr. Williams is a businessman, a philanthropist with a drive to positively impact his community. He holds a master's degree in IT and management from West Thames University in London. In 2004, he founded Rosi International Limited, which is a freight and forwarding procurement company. By 2006, Dubai and Nigerian offices began operation. Rosi has become known for its innovative and leading services, particularly regarding the corridor between UK and Nigeria, and continues to be a trendsetter in the logistics industry. And I must say, I must commend this gentleman for the amount of support he does in the community as well. So Mr. Oyewole, Mr. William Oyewole, if you're ready, would like to have your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining, and thank you, Jennifer, for the introduction. And also thank, sorry, my battery is running low. 1 second. Just bear with me. Yes, sorry about that. To thank Mr. Afolabi Andu for putting this together. And all the speakers before me, I appreciate you all. And the introduction, my name is Oyewole William Rotimi, and I'm into logistics, procurement, and freight forwarding. We started the company probably that's about 16, 17 years ago. And we introduced next day delivery from Nigeria to the UK and from the UK to Nigeria about 8 to 10 years ago. And that's been going on very well before the COVID, and now we've started that again. Now, the topic before me today is more of talking about packaging, storage, and warehousing. It's part of the logistics industry, and this is something we need to know, but not my specialization, but we need to understand. I'll talk about packaging first. Packaging is the image of your product. If you want to export your product out of Nigeria into any part of the world, the United Kingdom, anywhere, your packaging shows what you are selling. And if it's not packaged well, you know that it's not going to sell well. So it's quite important. The package shows, as it's the first image, the first encounter that one has with your product. Either it's cash crop, it's food or clothes or whatever it is. The packaging is quite important. And this packaging also protects your product from breakages, insects, deaths, dampness, and all those kind of things. So packaging is key in export of your product. Now, there are three forms of packaging. We have the primary one, which it's determined by the producer. Either the farm produce how you want to do your package, or the manufacturer how they want to sell their product out into the market. Now, this is key, and that's the first stage. That's the package around your product. Now, that includes labeling, how you label your package and your product. The second one is the secondary one, which now gets involved between the producers and the logistics team, either the courier company, and then how do you pack it? That's taking the pieces, putting them together into a bigger container or box or whatever. That's the secondary one. And the third one, which I'm going to talk about now, will be more the tertiary one, which we get more involved in. And I think I'm going to show you this slide. Sorry, I'm not sure if you are seeing my slide. Let's see. Okay. Now, I've talked about the primary one. That comes direct with the goods. Now, the one I'm showing here is something about the tertiary packaging. And I will tell you more about this one. These three pictures here show you the boxes. You can see down here, I'm not sure if my cursor can be there. This is the same product as the one up here. And then these ones are the same right here. The way you package your shipment determines how you get to the final destination. Now, these boxes came from the same place, and you can see this one, this is still intact, while all these ones have come loose. So whenever you're doing a package, sending export, you try to consult experts and get advice on what sort of packaging you need. And depends on the countries you're going to. If the facilities and the airport or the logistics is not good enough, I always advise people, consider that before you do your packaging. For instance, if you're going to do heavy stuff and you pack them like this, and they are maybe 1,000, 2,000 kilos, most of the facilities probably in Nigeria will not have forklifts to move these things. So you can consider to put them lighter, because most of them are done manually. So lighter, 100 kilo pallet, 200 kilo pallet. But if you put 1,000 kilo, then you need to look for a forklift to do that. So these are the things that you need to consider. This one of the other issues about packaging is ensure that you are not in a rush. And I think the reason why we have this situation here was that the time was going, there was no space on the airline, so they had to look for alternative by breaking down these pallets, and this was the end result, damages. So it's quite important that you know how you package your products. And if you look at this other one, these are the small ones, which is the first one, the primary one, where the manufacturer or the produce person packs it in this way. Now, this one is quite important because it adds value to your product. It's someone selling eggs now, moving the eggs in baskets. And then by the time they put them into trays, boxes and this, it adds value to their eggs. So that's quite key. All right, so I will quickly go to warehousing or storage. Let me go with storage. Now, storage is quite key also, because most storages are located at the manufacturer's place, where you can store your raw materials, where you can store finished products ready to be exported or moved to a warehouse nearby. So you have to have, wherever, either in the farm, you have a storage facility, or if you're manufacturing, you always need to have a storage facility on site. to do to keep your raw materials and even your finished products. Now I go into the warehousing. The warehousing is where you keep or store massive goods. So that's where you keep your goods. For export, it's important you make sure that you get your warehouse very close. The location is key. The number one is location. Now, when we talk about location, anybody going by air freight, you want to make sure that your warehouse is very close to the airport. There are a lot of challenges regarding moving goods in Nigeria. I think one of the speakers has spoken about that. I've got some goods coming in from just now. This has to stop. The driver had to stop around Mowe. I don't know if anybody knows Nigeria, and that's a pattern now. A lot of them stop there and wait till night before they can come into Lagos because of all the challenges of the that we have in Lagos at the moment. So all the harassments and challenges all the drivers have. So most of them just have to wait there, and if they are perishable goods, that's it. So these are things that we need to look into, and also the government has to look into it to make sure that there's easy passage for trucks bringing fresh produce from the farmland into the ports, either sea or air in Nigeria, so that we can increase our export potentials in Nigeria. The facility of the warehouse is also important. If you have a warehouse where there are no forklifts, not one, but 2 or 3 forklifts, because if one breaks down, work still continues. So that's important. Experience of the warehouse people is also key in this operation, because, for instance, you should be able to distinguish between your products, because most of the warehouses at the airport side or the seaport side do multiple warehousing, so different products, but ensure that they have experience and they know where to put different products at different places, because you don't want to mix dangerous goods with non-dangerous goods, or where you keep dangerous goods. Even some dangerous goods don't even mix with others. So it's quite important that they have experience on your products before you start giving them into the warehouse. And there should be more like a 24-hour operations of the warehouse. And it's also good that they have facility in terms of moving logistics, in terms of moving your products from the warehouse to the port. So easy passage to either to the seaport or to the airport. So that's quite key. Now, I will quickly, I'm not sure if I can locate these slides. Just give me a second. Okay, so just coming. Now, it's important we, sorry, I'm just trying to get the right slide. I think I've mixed it. Okay, now, that's it. Now, exporting process, there are 3 or 5 P's, LPs. That's first party logistic, the second one, the third, and fourth. What we practice most is more of the first one in Nigeria, whereby you buy your product, you look for the buyer, you manufacture your product, you look for the buyer, and then you sell yourself directly. You don't have any added value, just quickly want to turn things around and move around. Then we go to the second one, where you involve like a courier company to please let me deliver to this one. It's still you involved, getting 100% control of your product, even though you've got a courier in to help you do distribution. So these are the 2 common practice in Nigeria. Now, if we go to the third one, we'll find out that's third party logistics. So right here now, we'll see that it's involved the producer or the manufacturer, you got the courier, and you got the warehousing, where they store your goods ready for distribution. Okay, now then that one is the best one which I can advise. And then we have, well, the same thing here, where you have the grocery store, that's the farmer, then the farmer, the courier, that's the second one. But this one now, you have all these three. Now, number four, number four manages number three, which is the third party logistics, add value, but it's more expensive. So most people try to stay in this area whereby they get the logistics for you, they warehouse it for you, and they distribute it. And the fifth one now is people like Amazon that does everything from the beginning to the end. That's the last one, which is the fifth party logistics. So those are the key points that I can talk about warehousing. Now, when the goods come into the United Kingdom, because we are more into logistics and storage and warehousing. Now, there are storages in Nigeria where you can store your goods. Now, the challenge there also will be some of the perishable ones. There are not many perishable storage facilities. When we talk of warehousing, we talk of cold room, we talk of bonded warehousing, we talk of general goods warehousing. So these ones are available in the United Kingdom. So your goods arrive in the United Kingdom, you're looking for storage, then you can give us a call. We can look for the right storage facility for your goods and store them, and even help in distribution. Now, in Nigeria, the same thing. So the closer you are to the airport, the better for you. The closer you are, your warehouse is to the seaport, the better, because of all the road blocks and red locks on the roads. You will be able to move your goods if it's closer to these ports facilities. So this quite important. And so we talked about that. In the United Kingdom, as your goods arrive, we can also provide logistics of moving them from whichever port, Tilbury, Felixstowe, or whichever port, into a storage facility, because you need a warehouse to keep them. Now, if there are high value goods like things that go into bonded warehouse, we talk about alcohol, we talk of tobacco, those goes into bonded warehouse till you sell them, and then because there are no duties on those ones. But general goods, you can clear them out of the port, move them to a storage facility or warehouse, whereby you can now distribute them to the final consumers in the United Kingdom, or even distribute them to Europe. It's quite difficult now moving them out from the United Kingdom to Europe, which used to be easier before, but most of it will end up in the United Kingdom at the moment. So those are the key points on warehousing, storage, and packaging. Now, your packaging should be labeled properly so they can identify what the products are. So these are key things that you need to do, because if you don't label them properly, and either they fall off or they're not, you will not be able to sell them when they come into the United Kingdom. So that means either you repack it or you send it back. So that's quite important. And when you are also doing your warehousing, these labels are also important to identify the products whenever they want to distribute them. So that's it. So in the United Kingdom, at Heathrow, we have facilities that we can store goods for you and warehouse them for you till you get ready to distribute them to the final consumers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That's very, very timely. I was just about to interrupt you. But thank you for that very informative presentation. So from warehousing, storaging, and packaging, that was a very detailed overview for those who have joined late. You've missed three very informative sessions. But just on a recap for Mr. Ayewole's, there's the talk about the difficulty with infrastructure in Nigeria, the fact that his company can help with logistics and storage facilities. He identified the three main things being making sure that you've made the right facilities for your product, ensuring the right placement, and making sure that you take note of this perishability and your facilities are intact and those managing your facilities are intact. That was something that was quite poignant in what was stated. So again, he outlined some of the facilities he has here in the United Kingdom and how he can make sure that your good, once imported, can be stored before getting to the end user, or help with distribution of your product to get to the end users. So thank you very, very much. I will ask that if you have questions, once again, you put them in the chat, or you endeavour to contact the Nigerian British Business Forum, to contact the speaker directly and have your query or question put across. Thank you. And before we go on to the last speaker, or second to the last speaker, I would ask that you do take note of the Nigerian British Business Forum. We do have different committees under the forum that specialise in particular fields, from law, export, as you've heard, and also on towards agriculture and finance and property. So it's a well-rounded business networking group. And not only do we have branches here in the UK, but we also have in the US, Canada, Germany, and more others springing up globally. Thank you. And if you're joining the meeting late, please make sure that your microphone is muted. Please make sure your microphone is muted if you're not speaking. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to another speaker. And for those of you who may not know him, her, we have Missy Adesina, CEO of Agric Biz Without Borders. Now, her topic for today is going to be exporters' concerns vis-a-vis global exports. Just a reminder, because of time, we're going to try and reduce the speaking time for each person down to about 10 minutes. She will be having her presentation ready, I hope. So Mrs. Adesina, if you're ready, kindly do have your presentation up and ready to go. A few words before she puts that presentation on the screen. Her background is one of being a legal practitioner for over 15 years, called to the Nigerian bar. She's formerly worked at within the telecom sector, but then she developed a passion for recycling. And as we all know, it's a major concern globally, especially in Nigeria, given the fact that we have so much refuse that's not dealt with properly and creating loads of different landfill sites. When she left the telecoms industry, she had refocused on her career drive and built a brand for herself. In late 2016, she began to focus and study about waste in Nigeria and decided to focus and use in how to manage dealing with spare tires and develop tools for upcycling products. Alongside this, she also is the president of the Women's Sans Frontiers, a cooperative society for women in agriculture, and the CEO of Agric Biz Without Borders. Missy is always passionate about ensuring that justice prevails over injustice. When she decided to delve into the agricultural sector, it was because she felt that a lot of insecurities were in that sector. And she came across many farmers and decided to work with them on retainership within the legal arm of Agric Biz Without Borders. She offers paid and free training to different agri-entrepreneurs and other players within the agricultural sector. So please welcome Mrs. Adesina.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. This is Jennifer. Actually, my topic is on the challenges of exporters. Yeah, the challenges of exporters. And I think Mr. Shodipo hit on some of the areas of challenges to the exporters. So I will just run through the challenges and delve more on some of them. Some of the areas, I don't have a presentation, so I'm just going to discuss. One of the areas for exporters, one of the challenges is getting reliable buyers for international deals. I know most of us are aware that when exporters are talking about, okay, SMEs want to export, they usually talk about not having a market, not having buyers to buy their products. And even as SMEs are looking for the market, they're looking for the buyers, they're also being very cautious because there are some buyers that are not genuine. They're not reliable buyers. We've had experiences of some some SMEs that are exporting, and then to some buyers in some countries, and then the buyers, because they have their names and addresses on the freight papers, they actually divert the market to another location where the seller cannot even trace them. And then we have some that by the time the goods arrive at the landing ports, because the seller is not there at the port of receipt, they are told, oh, some of the goods are not in good condition, and then it's priced at a price that is not reasonable. Seller, of course, buyers, they rarely do FOB. They prefer to do CIF, where most of the risk is on the seller. And so these are some of the challenges that our exporters have. Then we have product sourcing and quality. That is very key. That is very key to us SMEs in Nigeria, especially for the exporters, because when sellers are sourcing, they most times don't have from their own personal farms. They have to source from other farmers as well. And because they are sourcing is an issue, because they don't even know or understand the quality of the particular place where they're sourcing from. And most times for export products, buyers want to have a form of traceability, being able to access where the farms are, where the products are coming from. And this has been a major challenge for the exporters. Quality control, quality of the products that they're sourcing for. And this is where I'm going to talk a lot. I'll talk more about SON, which is the Standards Organization of Nigeria. This is an agency that has been in the background for so long, but is a standardization agency for Nigeria. I'm going to talk more about them later. Another challenge that our exporters have is source financing of the export contracts. Most of them complain that if you're going to export, especially when you're exporting large quantity, you need a lot of money. You need finance. You need capital intensive. And I've asked, okay, why don't you go to the bank? The banks are asking for collateral. And okay, most of them don't have the collateral to be able to provide to the banks. And so it's a major issue. It's a major issue for them on sourcing for financing. Capital is capital intensive. The capital investment is huge. And so this is a source of, these are part of the challenges that they have. Then we have issues with the trade terms. Some buyers, they put some terms of purchase, and this, most times some exporters, they have issues with them. Then we have our transportation systems in Nigeria. I think Mr. Shodiko and the last speaker also spoke about that. Apart from our roads being not too good, the issue of logistics is a major issue here in Nigeria. And I will tell you why. Farms, and we usually don't have farms in the cities. The farms are in remote areas. The farms are in areas not close to where you have the urban city. So by the time products are coming from the farms, from one state to another state and to the ports, it deteriorates. It deteriorates. But if we had transportation, if we had logistics that had cooling vans, we have logistics that are properly suited for the produce coming from the farms and taking them to the directly to the ports where they'll be shipped out. It saves a lot of cost to the seller, and then reduces deterioration of the product. So it's a major issue. And then, like the last speaker spoke, that they have to wait, because along the access to the ports, there's a lot of traffic. We have the Apapa port, which is a major port being used. We have other ports as well, but the government is not, those ports are not active. And because of that, you find goods being moved a long distance rather than short distances to export. And so this deteriorates, it reduces the quality of the product itself. But if we had logistics in place, proper logistics suited to the products, this will reduce deterioration and preserve the produce. So this is one of the challenges that the exporters have. Then we have the issue of documentation and licenses. Under the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, you have to have the export license to be able to export. We also have some documentations that need to be put in place. The first speaker spoke about global gaps. We also have NICERT certification. We have EcoCert certification, which are certifications that some countries require for you to export to them. So these are also issues, because when you talk about global gaps, we talk about EcoCert, you talk about NICERT. These are expensive certifications. And you find that SMEs individually find it very difficult to be able to access the certification. Sometimes some quotes are in the range of millions. But I'm very happy that the first speaker spoke about coming together, pulling together resources. Those in a particular area can come together, especially as a cooperative. So if you know you're in a cooperative, you're doing a particular product, you could actually all come together, and then you can have your farm certified, and then the fees are distributed amongst all the members. So this helps to reduce costs. But of course, you find that in a cooperative, you don't have everybody doing the same form of agriculture. You find some doing vegetables, you find some doing tree crops. So you find that at the end of the day, it's very difficult to have a ground where everyone is doing the same thing, and then we are certifying everything, except if it's an association of a particular group. Like you say, Cocoa Farmers Association, you say Moringa Farmers Association, then that is more realistic. But because they're diverse exports, so this is also an issue for our exporters. Then we have the export process with the freight forwarding companies. I'm happy about the last speaker, about I think second to the last speaker, about freight and all of that. But this part of the challenges that some of our exporters have with the export process with the freight forwarding company. And then we have, I said I was going to talk more about SON. SON was established in 1971. And there were many established for standards preparation relating to products, measurements, materials, and processes. SON is actually in charge of standardization of the products, of our processes and products in Nigeria. Now, NAFDAC is, most of the duties that NAFDAC does was carved out from SON. And because NAFDAC is at the forefront, especially when the DG then, late Dr. Dora really was, pushing for NAFDAC, NAFDAC came to limelight, but SON has been relegated, or how would I put it? They're at the back, but they're the ones that create the standardization for all our processes and products here in Nigeria. And I will also let us know that SON they're a member of the ISO. Now, the ISO is the International Organization for Standardization. Nigeria is a member, and SON is a member of that association. They're a member. And so they have the quality, they have the international standards to be able to standardize our products and processes here in Nigeria. So when you talk about quality, we find most SMEs, they are not even aware of SON. They are not even aware that they can get their certification from SON. And it's not so expensive. It's a process that can be started. They have different branches in different states where you can actually walk in and get the requirements for you to start the ISO certification in your own establishment. I've had some discussions with them. They're also able to certify even cottage SMEs that are small. They're able to do the certification for such SMEs. And I think this is a step in the right direction, because if the SMEs can get the right quality and standardization for their products, then of course, whoever it is that is buying or sourcing from them is very certain that the quality at which the products are being done is the quality that meets the international standard. And also part of the challenges that our exporters also have is the HS code. Now, the HS code is a harmonized system. Is the international code for names of products. Now, because most of them, when they're exporting to a particular country, they don't know the HS code for that country, in that country, for the particular products they're exporting. So sometimes they have the challenge of putting the wrong HS code on a product. By the time it gets to that country, sometimes it's rejected and is destroyed, because the HS code on it may be the code that has been put on that product is a code that is not allowed in that country. So you find that some of those products are eventually destroyed. you know. So those are part of the challenges that the exporters have. Then we have the port infrastructure. We have infrastructure as one of the challenges of the exporters. I spoke about the Apapa port. I also spoke about some ports that are not active. We have the Lekki port. We have ports in other areas in Nigeria, but they are not active. Because they are not active, you find that so many exporters are coming to one converging point. And that converging point is a point that there's always delay. Like the Apapa port, I know they had series of meetings on how to decongest the ports. So you have some containers that have been there, they've not been released to leave, and have been there for so long. And of course, the products in there are definitely not improving, but definitely will be deteriorating. So those are the challenges that our exporters have been having.
But a gentle time warning, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So we have ways of improvement, which is something we're going to be talking about. We are definitely, some of the speakers have spoken about that, and they've addressed some of the areas like the issue of getting reliable buyers. I know Mr. Shudipo spoke about that, and he also spoke about source financing as well. He spoke about the transportation system, and one of the areas that I always encourage those that want to invest in the agri sector is that the value chain is long. There are areas that are of immense concerns to those in the agri sector, especially producers. And where we have investors investing in this value chain, I think the issues and the headache of the exporters will be greatly reduced. I think that's about all that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that very informative session. Thanks for enlightening people on the Standards Organization of Nigeria and the fact that they might be able to get certification for their products locally within their state. They may not have realized that. In addition, you also reflected on some of the things that Ms. Obichukwu had mentioned, the fact that many farmers could collaborate together so that they can get the certificates jointly and all serve under one certificate, thereby reducing their individual costs. But to do that, they must have working arrangements and be on the same page and have the same standard of goods. And also talking about the difficulties people suffer with the HS codes, where they're not having up-to-date codes and therefore their goods being rejected once they're in their country of receipt, and trying to make sure that they stay up to date to avoid such happening. Now, at this stage, I actually do have a brief presentation. However, what's more important to me is that you do feed questions into the chat. I've seen that there are not any questions into the chat. Maybe some of you are shy. Do not be shy, because the meeting is scheduled to end by 7:30. So it means that our time is fast spent and we still have our closing remarks. At this stage, it's very important that we also do thank our sponsors, which is First View TV. If any of you want to promote your goods and services, there is an online channel, First View TV, that's being aired out to our members, both here in Nigeria and in other jurisdictions, where you can have a lot of attention for your product. And also we have Cedar IT. Let me just confirm exactly the full name for that particular sponsor. And that is Ciba Technologies, who are broadcasting the event on our behalf. So if you do have online events that you want to do, or if you need some digital support, you can contact Ciba Technologies, who'll be able to assist on that front. But going back to the chat again, I see people are quite shy. Nobody has put any questions in. So at this stage, I may share my screen and run through some quick issues with regards to importing to the UK. Okay. Now, I have mentioned the NBBF. Myself, I am basically a lawyer who has over 16 years experience in the UK, but my degree is in law and economics. So basically, I love dealing with business problems, solutions, and strategizing for my clients. One of my clients, who's one of the major tea producers globally, explains that the Nigerian moringa has a higher potency and quality. So those of you who are thinking about going into agribusiness, one of the things that you do have to realize is our soil is so good in Nigeria that a lot of our products end up being of such a high quality that if you can add the value, the demand for them globally is there. So it's about getting these processes right, which you've heard all the speakers talking to you about today. Now, some of the legal considerations that you have when you're trying to import into the UK is obviously the legal environment. You have to think about the jurisdiction. You have to think about your product requirements. You also have to think about the costs. Again, people might underestimate their profit margins if they do not acknowledge the issues and the relevance of VAT and duties on their goods, which often I see people not doing their basic calculations properly. And you also have to have patience in order to get to that standard where you're exporting, especially to the mainstream high street shops, as was highlighted in Mr. Shodipo's presentation. It takes time. It takes time. And that was also mentioned by Mrs. Obichukwu. It takes time. You have to get these things right. If you take shortcuts, you're just going to end up spending more money. And within these slides, I've also put some links that might help you as well. Now, importing into the UK and the EU, some of the 10 listed considerations: best processes, registering your business for import. At the NBBF gala dinner that was in 2018, I spoke about the significance of Ireland. And I don't think many people really appreciated what I was trying to stress to them. And I had done that for many years. You might have to register an office in Ireland just for specific benefits for your organization. At the moment, Ireland is having over 500 billion pass through it almost every day, I believe, just because of its strategic location. That should tell you something. So think about how and where you register certain elements of your business, or where you have your business partners and the level of collaborative agreements you have with them. Again, we spoke about code. It's very important, and that was spoken by the last speaker, Mrs. Adesina. Customs declarations, delay, the need for the licensing that's been spoke about extensively, knowing about labeling. Again, Mr. Oyewole spoke about that extensively, and ensuring your goods pass through the appropriate channels. Again, making sure you keep good record and record keeping. Now, you might be the best farmer, you might even be the best logistics person, but you might not be the best manager and records keeper. So if that's something that software can deal with for you, or you need to hire a manager to do, then do that. Don't think that you can juggle all these balls in the air, especially when you're in a terrain or a jurisdiction like Nigeria, where you know that your attention span cannot be on everything. So where you have need for a manager, get a manager to manage a particular process while you do what you do best. Now, again, thinking about the significance of the UK and where we are at the moment, there's a transitional period in relation to a lot of things. Things have changed this February, things have changed in June, things are yet to change in October. You must understand all of the relevant issues and changes relating to your product or service. It's very, very important. Again, the significance of Ireland, if you need these particular slides or these links, it's very important that you email into MBBF, we get them to you. But some of the statistics in relation to Ireland and its strategic placement at the moment, you can get from this link. I was astonished to hear how much finances, technology, inward investment has gone into Ireland just because of its strategic placement at the moment. And it might be, as I say, a place where you might need to register a partner company. You might need to register something off island, or basically in a tax haven, to make sure that you're paying low tax. But you might need to register something in Ireland to help with the logistical progress of your distribution channels. Now, again, some of the legislation that might apply to you, and no matter what you're doing, and if you're, so far as you're dealing with other companies and trading, you always have to think about money laundering. And previous speaker spoke about something that is a big issue. Mr. Destinard spoke about fraud. And you might think, who wants to defraud farmers? Very clever people who realize that a lot of goods can bring a lot of money, and if they can get in or undermine the value of your goods, then they can be in for a big windfall. So looking at your whole process, vetting who you're speaking to, delivering to, I know it can be hard in this digital age, but it's important that you get verification of the people you're speaking to and verification on who is receiving your goods and products. Okay, keeping an eye on changing government regulations, geographical locations for your goods. All of these have really been spoken about by other speakers, and I'll focus again on finance. It can be difficult to raise finance, so working in a collaborative manner might ease that pressure. And also, you have shared knowledge when you work in a collaborative manner, okay? Everybody may be a chief of their own little kingdom, but when you come together, you create a community. And that strength in community, especially when it's communal money or communal interest, is fantastic. So what might be working in farm A or what might be working for distributor B, when you put it together, you've created a massive network and a stronger network. So do think about that. And then bureaucracy, managing everything is, again, as I say, the key to this and doing it well. So patience, learning of process, and actually making sure that you're adding value is all what you need to be doing. Some of the useful links, we've mentioned them on some of the slides before. And again, know your product, know the rules, operate within the law, and aim at making profit. Now, if any of you do want to contact me, you can contact me through MBBF. I am the chair of the legal committee. I'm happy to receive your questions anytime. Most of the people who know me through the community know my door is always open. And I do not mean that just for speech. Definitely every Friday, people who've known me over the years know that they can contact my office on a Friday and generally get some quick advice if they're in a situation. But with the MBBF, I'm on call for them anytime any particular member has an issue. I'm ready to help them. Again, strategically placed, I'm the legal officer for the British Nigerian Law Forum, and we do have offices in Nigeria and in Hong Kong. So thank you very much for your time today. It's been a very, very interesting session. I've seen a request for slides, a question, yes. Please respond to some of the challenges the last speaker mentioned. So that's a request from Mrs. Obichukwu. Please, if you're there and you'd like to respond to some of the questions, some of the challenges, kindly do, because we will soon have to close down and do our closing vote of thanks.
Thank you very much. I just want to emphasize concerning the cooperative collaboration. I did mention that one particular cooperative or groups are up to 20,000 members, you understand? Yeah, and when you come to certification, it does not mean they must be producing the same product. It can be different products, but all the products that are being produced will be mentioned what you want certification for. And it does not mean all the members will be going for certification. There is a process. So all that is explained when they attend the food training and they understand the standard and how it's done. But the major thing is that mandatory requirement is quality management system, because that will be certified for the group. It is important for that group to have a quality management system, how they manage the group, both the ones that are going for certification and the ones that are not going for certification. So I just wanted to clarify that. And to say that Nigeria is not the only country that have smallholders. The issue is that we want shortcut. We must understand we need to compete. No buyer will want to come and spend money with you unless you are ready to meet the demand, because they are spending their money. So it's not a charity, it's a business. So please, let's all understand that. Thank you very much.
There's also a message in the chat from Mrs. Chukuma, who is the operations manager for the Association of Female Agripreneurs. So that's female farmers there, or those who are in that supply chain. We've also had real exporters who require support can contact NXP. and that's from Jide. And then there's some other websites that are there. But right at this stage, I'd like to pass the microphone back to our organizer, Mr. Prince, sorry, not Mr., my boss, Afolabi Andu. Thank you. Prince Andrew, if you could unmute your mic.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite certain that you have all found today's session on UK market access highly insightful and comprehensive. For those who have been contemplating setting up an export-based business, or those who have been uncertain on how to proceed, I really do hope that a lot of your concerns and questions have been clarified today. It is now up to you to take that bold step of faith, even that you have the world of exports literally on your doorstep. Please do not hesitate to make contact with us in respect to this journey. Let us also encourage those who are not yet subscribers to the Nigerian British Business Forum. You do need to get on board and start to enjoy a wide range of our membership benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I cannot end my very, very brief remarks without thanking our excellent speakers who have helped to further open our eyes to the amazing export opportunities staring us right in the face. Let me start by thanking Dr. Jennifer Obaseki, whose brilliance added to the pleasant flavor of this evening's event. My appreciation also goes to Mrs. Patricia Obiachuku, Mr. Yemi Shodikbo, Mr. William Oyewole, certainly not the least, Mrs. Yemsi Additional. Your delivery this evening can only be best described as extraordinary. And only to all those who have taken time to join us this evening on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, you all greatly appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening. God bless. And over to you, Dr. Jennifer.
Thank you once again to all of you who've joined us on Zoom, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you do need slides or to contact any of the speakers, once again, I put the email address in the chat there for you. So please do not just have it as a pipe dream, start to get planning and make sure that you have your export dream become a reality. Thank you and good night.
Wonderful.
Good night, Jennifer. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have to be able to
Jennifer.
be operational within.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thanks for your great work, Jennifer. Held you down. Thank you.